Good afternoon and welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. I'm Paddy Boy, and beside me, as you can see, we're joined by Stephen. First of all, guys, I know it wasn't the result that we were all looking for, but we'll discuss it, we'll talk about it, get your thoughts in the comments, we'll try and bring up as much as possible. I hate to say this, but I called it last night. If anybody watched us last night, I sat here and I said, it pains me to say it, but I reckon we will get beat 3-1. After the first half, which we will touch on, I thought, wow, was I wrong? But we'll start off by asking Stevie what he thought. What was your thoughts originally on the lineup? I'm going to bring that up just now. So, obviously, starting 9 goals with Kasper Schmeichels. Were you surprised that Kasper started, or did you think you kind of go with your main keeper there, and you think that was a good shout?
Kind of 50-50 on that one. Kasper, you know what you get from Kasper, but he's obviously hampered by some sort of injury. He's been getting injections and things like that. So, whether he maybe needs a rest, I've seen enough of Sinisalo that I think he's a dependable backup. I don't know that he's maybe going to be our number one long term, but I've certainly seen enough of him that I think he's going to do your job domestically. Yeah. So yes, I was a wee bit surprised, although you're not going to pay a guy like Kasper to sit on a bench if you can play him, but his kind of recent form is a different matter.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I was kind of with you when they talk about Sinisalo, and then obviously we've seen him start against Livy, and he gets beat twice at his near post, and that kind of put a wee bit on the back burner for me. I thought, right, okay, Kasper's probably saving one of them. Well, after today, I don't know if he would, but yeah, I think it's a position where we're really struggling. You look defensively as well, and obviously we've started with the back three, as Wilfred Nancy likes to. So you've got Ralston, Trusty, and Tierney in there in the back three, and that's one of the ones, isn't it, where you see it coming and you look at it and it filled me with dread straight away seeing that. I don't know what I expected. We don't have any other options other than your man Arujo, who has just come in, but seeing Ralston, Trusty, and Tierney starting in the back three, did that just fill you with a fear straight for the off?
Absolutely. Because again, we have all said it on previous podcasts that if he's going to stick with this formation and with the personnel that he starts in the positions that he's starting them in, there's no way out. It is going to come up the same end result all the time. As you say, first half, performance-wise, we'll talk about in a wee bit more depth. But yes, if he's going to play 3 at the back, then my overall term is frail. And that has not changed. Prior, as soon as I saw the team come up, I said, that they're going to create chances by putting us under pressure.
Yeah. I think in the first half, Stephen, I know you're saying there like, the pressure-wise and stuff, but I thought we dealt with it pretty well. I thought Celtic were first to every second ball. I thought we were fighting for it. We looked like a team with a wee bit of desire there. And guys like Callum McGregor, Steve highlighted our main players, basically your kind of old school players, your Callum McGregors. Even you can put McCowan in there, and Arnie Engels kind of knows what it's about. These guys, they kind of stepped up to the mark, I thought. We'll get down to Yang. We'll obviously talk about him as well. But the starting lineup for me, it kind of picked itself. It kind of just, it's a makeshift team that we're looking at just now, isn't it? It's one of the ones where you can pick it and you can look at it and go, doesn't fill me with amount of confidence. No, but then you go into that first half. I mean, I'll kind of take the team sheet away just now. Give me 2 wee seconds. So we take away that. We get down to the early signs where the game was going to be quite end to end, and that Celtic were going to dominate possession as you would expect from the home side. So first 10 minutes, right, we've got an elbow in there to Arnie Engels. And I thought that should have been checked. I don't know what your thoughts are in the chat. I've not really seen much people talking about it, but as it happens, Engels is kind of pushing in. And is it your man Fernandez or Magoma? It's one of the two, and he throws the elbow back and cracks him. And I thought that should have been checked. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Just for the benefit of the viewers, I'm just home from work, so I had the benefit of watching a screen at work. I had no commentary at all.
Yeah.
Prior to the game starting, I mean, I was expecting to have the Benny Hill music on for 90 minutes, just, watching. After the way we ran about against Motherwell, I thought this is going to be, but I was pleasantly surprised. As you say, we showed a lot of grit, a lot of determination. We were moving the ball well. Rangers were a back three. We were playing the balls into the corners to try and draw them out a wee bit. And it almost came good early doors. Again, the Arne Engels one, he comes in behind the player. There's a bit of shot pulling from Arne, but then he goes to kind of push him off, but it is the elbow that comes up and cracks him. So, whatever VAR have or haven't said to the referee, be quite interesting there.
It kind of reminded me a wee bit of the one. Remember the old footage of Douglas Ross when it was Simonovic against Morelos, and Douglas Ross is kind of standing on the sideline going, red card, red card, red card, red card.
Yeah,
I was the Douglas Ross screaming at the TV there. I was kind of like, come on, you've got to even look at it. They've got to say something there, but obviously it gets looked over.
Yeah. You've seen red cards given for that exact offence. Some people get away with it, but as you say, you would like at least the referee to get a wee word in his ear and say, you might want to have a look at that.
Aye, that's it. It's one of the ones where you've seen them given and you've seen them not. First 10 minutes, I thought Celtic were kind of getting kicked all over the park a little bit. I thought we were dominating possession. We looked really, really good. You spoke about the breakaway there. I think it's Engels plays the ball in towards Johnny Kenny, bombing it down the right-hand side and puts a amazing ball across the face of goal. And Diaz Maeda's literally inches away from getting something on the end of it. And I thought that's the way that I want to progress going forward. You like to see that. I love a player that's going to burst for the byline, ping the ball across, but we need somebody to be on the end of these. The closest shot that we really had in the kind of first opening 10 to 15 minutes was a shot for McCowan. And again, it's a kind of easy enough save, basically. You've got, was it Butland looked to be on top, didn't he? I've got here as well, Celtic were fighting for it from the off, great passing sequences. And again, that's all well and good, but for me, I felt like we tried to walk the ball into the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? That for me was one of the main things on there, and I hate that. It's one of the things you're hoping for a guy like McCown or a guy Nigrin or Engels to just have a crack because you're trying to get the ball in there, you're trying to get it to guys like Johnny Kenny, and for me, he's just not hitting the mark at the minute.
Yeah, well, his first effort, I think the ball for the left-hand side, which came through, and he got, he got good contact on it, he got, good power on it, but it's just far too close to Butland. If that had been a wee bit further to either side, and that's a goal, that we've seen that so many times from Johnny Kenny. He obviously doesn't do that deliberately, but that's the thing. It's without a higher quality striker, this is the things that are going to happen to us.
Yeah, and that's it. It's one of these things. Obviously, Steve-O's sent his thoughts as well. He's put in here, Steve-O can't be with us, and we're saying that is because he is the spitting image of Mitov that plays for Aberdeen, so he's currently in goals against Falkirk. So Steve-O's put here, he was surprised by the initial lineup. He thought that Scales might start, as he tends to deal better with the cross balls. And I can see that. I can see why you would want somebody like Scales in there. I thought possibly Scales and Trusty, two recognised kind of centre halves, because let's face it, Tierney and Ralston have been pushed into their roles. They've been told that it's a role that they have to play. I thought maybe Scales would have been suited to that. So Steve-O's absolutely spot on there. He's put there, thought it would possibly be a change for for Ralston as well. Again, three possible centre halves. I know it was the guy's first taste of a derby, or first taste of football.
We'll get to that point when we discuss the second half. But going back to the kind of centre back thing there with Scales, every set piece that we face gives me the fear.
Yes.
And set pieces coming in, corners coming in, we really are, failed to defend any of them particularly effectively. We talked about the one of the previous games. I think it was the St Mirren final, where you've got Rio Hatate going up against the right back that was 6 foot or 6'2", whatever size he is. And, it's as if guys in there are they're either doing some strange kind of line-up zonal system, or they just don't know who they should be marking. So, over the pieces, I say the set pieces were giving me the fear. So I can understand why Steve would say, you're better having Scales in there as a somebody that's going to win more in the air than Kieran Tierney.
Or Ralston, I get that, and that's it. It's somebody, like I said, that is a recognised centre half. Steve went on here to actually say that he was surprised, to say the least, how we started. We looked very, very good going forward, but very wasteful, and that's kind of where we've been talking about it. We were in front of goal. I thought we wasted so much. Johnny Kenny's getting kind of snapshots here and there, and again trying to walk the ball into the back of the net, trying to do a wee bit too much. Crying out for a proper striker, as everybody's putting in the comments here. I'm trying to keep up with these guys. The comments are thick and fast, as it shows at the minute, over 400 of these in the chat, so I'm kind of trying to keep up there. Crying out for a proper striker. It would have been easily 3-0 at half time if we did. Yang, incredible. What a first half Yang had. He showed lots of threat. He was tracking back. He basically done everything in that first half. I mean, we were on here last night and I'm talking, and I basically belittled him. And I said that tracking backwise defensively, he wasn't up to the mark, and he wasn't backing up Tony Ralston. Obviously, that's why Tony Ralston was getting found out a lot. But I don't know about yourself. I thought tracking backwise and pretty much all round play in that first half, Yang was outstanding. Yeah,
absolutely. I have to agree with that. We're kind of, we are impartial here, and we give credit where it's due. Sometimes, not everybody agrees with that, but I thought that's probably the best 45 minutes of football, both attacking wise and defensively, that we've seen out of Yang in a Celtic jersey. So, can't disagree the fact that he. I don't know who actually got the man of the match, but I would have said Francis agrees with me there. Yang definitely, for me, was our man of the match.
Aye, listen, 100%. We get a lot of slagging on here. Obviously, me and Steve have got a wee bit of back and back that we do. And here he comes. He's coming in to enter the Yang gang. How we doing, big guy? You all good?
He must be on the bench, viewers.
Well, aye, strength and depth off the bench. No, I'm just popping in to say thank you to everybody for obviously coming on the stream. As I said in the comments there, it's becoming a wee bit of a sort of group therapy session. We really need to stop meeting like this, but as long as Wilfred Nonces and George, again, I feel that might be part of course. I'm down here in the beautiful land as Hamilton. We are about to go for lunch, but so I wasn't avoiding it. This was all pre-planned. So thanks to everybody who's joined. Hit the subscribe, hit the like mark. But no, guys, listen, I just wanted to throw my 2 bobs worth. Dundee United Part 2, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Exercise and capitulation Part 2. As I said, first half I thought, here we go. Maybe we're going to get this, is what I can see, but a simple change of formation once again, because Rangers lined up the same as us. They went almost toe-to-toe ways formation-wise, which surprised me. But 4-3-3, and guess what? Didn't have a clue. Lost total control of the game, 6s and 7s, and it went totally out the window. And for me, yes, a lot of that has to hang on the players and poor performances them. But, and it is a big but, if your tactics as a manager can be so easily undone by something as simple as a formation change, then there's really no hope, is there, guys?
Nah. Yeah. Listen, mate, it was a game of 2 halves, like a lot of people are saying in the chat there, Steve-O, and I came on straight away and held my hands up. Listen, I don't like being right when it comes to stuff like this, but I called it. I sat there and I said last night, I can see us scoring against Rangers because let's face it, they're not up to the firing best at the minute, but they're better than us. And that showed today. Like you say, the simple change in formation, the simple one player coming on to change the dynamic, to change the way that they push going forward, and to highlight our lack of defence, basically put the shitters right up us, mate. And it showed straight away in the second half. If you break down that first half as much as you want, but as soon as the second half started, I thought, right, here we go. This is it. This is when it's going to kick in. And it did, mate. And it was a horrible watch, that second half. It really, really was.
Guys, I'm going to go. I just wanted to drop in, say hello, as I says, make you all aware that I'm not dodging this one. I'll be back out tomorrow. I'll certainly back on Monday anyway. But listen, believe in
everybody we're in goals for Aberdeen again.
So take
Be careful in the Palace.
Right, here we go, guys. And like Steve will say there, listen, we'll kind of break it down. Let's start with a wee positive here. Let's talk about the Yang goal, right? So Yang takes the throw in, throws it out to his Nigrin, I think, touches it straight onto Yang, beats 3 players, totally in control of the ball, and blitters it past a helpless Jack Butland. Mate, hang it in the Louvre. That was an absolute belter. I was standing there, man, screaming at the TV. What a finish. And like I says in the chat there, we've always had a wee running joke about it. We're starting the Yang gang. I was going to get T-shirts made and stuff like that. And every time Steve-O slagged him, he seemed to score a goal. So I think Steve-O must have been slagging him last night, because he went out there and he's actually done a wee bit. And I thought that kind of, other than the goal, I would still have given Yang the man of the match for that first half performance at least. Because I thought he was outstanding. But the goal, Stevie, what did you think? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
even when it was muted at your side.
Yeah, definitely the fact that he had the confidence. When he first gets the ball back from Nigrin, you think he's going to play a ball inside here, but then for whatever reason, seems to get cut off and takes that touch and then realizes, oh, I've got a wee bit of space here. Takes a second touch to get a bit of space, and by that time he's looking straight down, one-on-one with Jack Butland. But it's the power in the shot, the fact that it's not just a low ball which could bounce anywhere. It gets a good angle on it. It's the power that takes it past. Butland tries to get his hands up. It's already in the back of the net by the time
Butland reacts.
Butland reacts. So absolutely. As you say, people are looking at it going, that's a worldie. He totally, you could tell by his reaction as well. Yeah. And you thought, right, brilliant. That hopefully should give them a bit of a lift and give them that wee bit extra momentum, because there was still, plenty of time to go in the first half at that point. To build on that wee bit of momentum and say, right, we've scored one. Let's go and see if we can really put them to the sword.
Yeah, and I thought after that as well, Celtic seemed to up a gear. The passing got quicker, the movement got better, and I was sitting there and I thought, well, maybe Wilfred Nancy's interview was a wee eye opener for us. Maybe him saying, "Trust the process; it'll come." You'll start to see things, and I kind of seen what he talks about. Wilfred Nancy's coming out and he's saying, you look at this half, and I don't want to do it in one half of football. That's birthday card pish, like I say. That's just, I'm not interested in that. You need to do it for a full 90 minutes. A game lasts 90 minutes. Yeah. So the first half was all fine and well. And we looked good going forward. We looked good on the ball. Yang scores a screamer. I thought, right, now we press on. Got down here. Kenny has another decent strike. Jack Butland saves well. Gassama gets in behind. Good stop for Casper. Celtic still look really impressive with the ball. What have we got here? Tierney puts the ball across. Yang again headers it for a tight angle. It looked like the ball was kind of bouncing about a little bit in there.
I thought it was actually going to go out of play, but it seemed to just catch it and almost caught Butland out again.
Aye, that's it, mate. And we kept putting them under that pressure, but without the end product. And that, to me, is where we're really, really struggling. We need to get that ball across the line. We need to get that final ball in there. There's no point dominating massive amounts of the game if you're not actually going to do it. Somebody put in the chat about 5 minutes ago there asking what our thoughts were on the back three. First half, I thought the back three were actually okay. I thought we...
Other than the Gassama chance.
Yeah, other than obviously Gassama getting in behind. But when you look at it, there was one of the ones where as Gassama gets in behind and Ralston slides inside the box and kicks the ball out of the mark. I thought absolutely brilliant. Takes balls to do that. Takes a bit of courage. And I thought absolutely excellent. So my take for the first half was pretty much all positive, other than a few misplaced passes from guys like Negrin and McCowan. I thought they kind of lacked a little bit in there, but that's me nitpicking.
Yeah.
Other than like coming off, I went live on TikTok straight away at the end of the first half, and the comments coming in were all, "Oh my God, this is brilliant! Is this what we've got to look for going forward?
Yeah,
this is the Nancy ball. This is that. Blah blah blah. Lots of positivity, but there was always that wee doubt, and I said that on there. I said I've still got that doubt, that set piece, that a change in formation, that something could happen that's going to put us under the cosh here. And I don't know about yourself, there's a lot of people in the chat, we've got over 520s in now. Let me know what your thoughts were at the end of that first half. Did you feel like we had that wee bit to go forward? Did you feel like we had the bit between the teeth enough and the players to actually push on? What did you think yourself, Stevie?
Yeah, as you say, if that's what we can look for, if that's Wilf ball, then I'll be very happy watching Wilf ball.
Yeah.
From an attacking sense. If we can add a bit of the Ange, we never stop, then that's where we're letting ourselves down. As you say, 45 minutes, great. 45 minutes where we should have been further ahead than we were. And that's when the doubt starts to creep into your mind. Now, we've been on numerous podcasts now, and you always highlight the fact that he's on an average of 2 goals conceded a game.
Yes.
And that's it. At the end of the day, that is what is always going on in the back of your mind here, that how long can we go without conceding that first one? Because, as soon as you concede that first one, the second's not far away. And, and in today's, then the third. But yeah, first half, if we're talking just purely about the first half, brilliant attacking performance, a lot more effort and desire from our players, great passing. We just needed to finish more than we did.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And Steve-O has just sent us through a interview, basically the BBC interview with Wilfred Nancy. So if you haven't seen it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paraphrase over here. Basically, he was disappointed today because he felt like we deserved more. We needed more goals in the first half. No shit, Sherlock. Well done. First half was outstanding. The intensity, the pressure, the commitment to complete it, but it was only 1-0 in the second half. Now, I don't know whether he's went in there in that second half and he's basically said, right, guys, same as usual, or whether he's tried to tinker anything. We know he likes to do certain things here and there. We know he likes to do that, but I get what he's saying, and it's nice to see that he understands that we should have had the game finished in that first half. We should have had it game over, but that's all fine and well. As I said before, a game lasts for 90 minutes. Now, he's got here, it's not about the players or the tactics. This is about moments. In a few moments, we could have done better. My players were outstanding in the first half. They wanted to do better. But in the second half, we conceded. We have to do better. Again, common sense. Do you know what I mean? We have come from behind when we were losing in previous games. But at this moment, there is a lot of fragility when we concede the second goal. This is about details. The game is about details. This is not about myself. This is about disappointing the fans, because I know the meaning of this game. I don't really think he does. I'm not buying into that. What do you think?
I don't think he knows anything about the Celtic, the pressure here. That is the thing. Now, going back to his interview last night,
yes,
some of the things he spoke about, he says normally, you're coming in, you would have a pre-season, so you would have 4 or 5 weeks to work with the players to get your ideas across, to get them, in regards to what you want your players to do. You've got that period of time to get. But he knew coming in, as I say, and this is where the board have to take their part of the responsibility as well. They brought him in with a game against the league leaders 2 days away. In that kind of period of time where, what would he be, about 6 or 7 weeks away from the opening of the transfer window?
Yeah.
So, he's coming in saying, I know who's injured and unavailable to me, so he can't turn around and say, oh, normally this has happened. He took the job because he was offered the job at that particular time. So he can't turn around and now say, oh, well, I want a pre-season and I want this and I want that. You should have thought about that when you took the job. And, you can't use that as an excuse. You've got to hold your hands up and say, I came in here straight away, after Martin O'Neill had obviously played the 7 games, and we got, the domestic wins under Martin.
Yeah.
But straight away, he tinkers. He changes the formation. I'm going to a back 3. The personnel that he plays out on the pitch, I'm going to play Luke McCowan as a left wing back. I'm going to play Yang. Other than today, I'm going to play Yang as a right wing back. I'm going to move Anthony Ralston across into a centre back position. Yeah. That's tinkering, and that is what has been his downfall. And again, you talk about, we'll discuss the second half more, but today's game at half time, the Rangers manager, he's watched the first half, he sees where his team are losing out. He makes a very small adjustment to his formation. Wilfred in our second half didn't react to that in any way. Didn't change his formation, didn't change anything other than his first substitution was to bring on the new right back. Who did he swap him with? The left wing back.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy is thinking when it comes to doing stuff like that. If it's a like-for-like change, then you say, okay, Yang, he's put a lot of effort, as we know, into that first half. I'm going to give him some time off, so it's a straight swap with a new guy. But he takes off Luke McCowan and moves Yang across to the other side, as far as I could see from the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of basically what happened. He's kind of went in there and changed something. Yang, as we said, was man of the match in that first half, and then he comes out in the second half and he's on the other wing.
Yeah.
Again,
so you're basically taking him out of the game as well.
Yeah, and that's what got to me. Obviously, like you said, Danny Rose went in there at half time. He's looked at his squad and he's went, right, if I change one player in this midfield here, that puts me to a 4-3-3 formation, and then we dominate the ball defensively. We cancel out their wingers, and we get more possession into the middle of the park, and we can play forward from there. Now, that is the way Motherwell played against us. It's the way St Mirren played against us. It's the way Aberdeen tried to play against us. And it's the way Dundee United played against us.
Yeah.
As Steve said, it was Dundee United Mark II, this game, all over the back. You can dominate games. You can do so much in games. But at the end of the day, if you do not put away your chances and you start changing the things that you're doing good, then you're going to get caught out. And I think that's exactly what happened. And we've seen that quickly in the second half. I'm going to dive back onto what he's been saying here as well, because obviously he said he knows the meaning of the game. He then goes on to say they pushed us in a good way in the first half. They were behind us, but when we conceded goals, we wanted to push again. I can understand the disappointment, but I also saw that we are able to do this. It's totally normal that they are disappointed. This is the reality, but we have to stay together. We are really close. There are many things that can turn around. If that's not the case, I would not talk like this. We have many things that are really close, but this isn't enough. Regarding a few details, I really believe we can turn things around. We are together with the board. Now, that last comment says it all for me. We are together with the board. That shows how far off he actually is. Because if he has come into this squad and he's came in and you know what's happening outside the club. We spoke to Peter Grant on here, and Peter says, even as a player in that squad, back in the early 90s, you knew the unrest, you knew what was happening, you knew what was coming. And he said, as a player, you tried to not let it affect you.
Yeah.
You went out there to do your job, and I understand that's all fine and well. But Wilfred Nancy, I think at this moment in time, yes, you've got to back your employer. Yes, you've got to do stuff like that. So obviously he's trying to keep things, he's trying to solidify the fan base with the support of the board and stuff. I think that's kind of what he's trying to do there. And that's not going to happen. Yeah. For him, he shouldn't be commenting on shit like that. He needs to get that out of his system, concentrate on what's happening on the park, because that's where he's failing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That this is a results-driven business. He knows, you know, okay, you generally come and manage in Scottish football, and you know, nine seasons out of 10, it's a two-horse race. This season, Hearts very much improved. Motherwell very much improved. So you know. That again goes back to my point of he's come in here without a clear understanding of what the pressure of managing Celtic involves. It's not just about pleasing the board.
Yeah.
It's pleasing the fans. And what pleases the fans more than anything else is points on the board.
Yes, that's it, exactly. Now, there was a thing put up, I don't know if a lot of you've seen it. The North Curve Celtic put on their Twitter page. If you are concerned about the trajectory of Celtic, then get to the front doors of Celtic Park after the game and please make yourself heard. Now, that has obviously gone viral, and as far as I'm aware, there are a lot of people outside Celtic Park at the minute, and I've just been sent a picture there of Mr. Nicholson and Mackay looking out the window, the big kind of glass window at the top.
Bulletproof.
Yeah, bulletproof windows, yeah. Basically, listen, they don't give a fuck. They could not care less about us. We're just a money train to them, and that's all it is. Until they invest, until they get the finger out of the pocket and actually bring something into this club, we're not going to see any change on the park, because Wilfred Nancy, in my opinion, is not fit to manage a team the size of Celtic, and that's the simple fact.
Yeah. Mr. Tisdale, or whoever has decided, we spoke on one of the previous podcasts. Michael Nicholson, I think you could probably still get his interview on Celtic TV, where he was talking about the appointment of Wilfred, and he said, we've done our due diligence and we've identified that this is our number one candidate for whatever criteria they're judging him under. And you know, so by, you know, if that's the statement that he's going to make, then he's the one that's got to come out now and say, listen, hands up. You know, we thought he would be the guy to take us and move us forward as a club. It's obviously not going to happen. Therefore, how long do you give him before, as I say, that, you know, that either they give up totally on the season, or, you know, they run the risk of further unrest from fans. You know, probably just as well that the Green Brigade weren't at the game today, because I'm quite sure they would have had a very large tifo out, just, you know, conveying their thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, but we spoke about that as well. I think that's the reasoning behind it. Well, obviously there is underlying reasons why the Green Brigade are banning him, because of certain things that have gone on. But
of course, yeah,
you look at it as well, I think it suits the board not to have them there, because it does silence it. And as soon as that first goal went in the second half for Rangers, the Celtic crowd were null and void, mate. There was nothing coming from them. Yep. All the noise was coming for Rangers. And that, to me, is where you really, really miss guy like the Green Brigade in there to bring that passion back and to bring that. Yeah. Now, the Union Bears were let in early so that they could set up their tifo, so that they could get everything all nice and ready for their display. And I think that basically sticks the boot in once again and shows that this board have got no compassion and no understanding of the situation going forward.
Yeah, they're certainly not empathetic. You know, go back to the last few weeks of Brendan's managership, and it was like a statement every other day. You know, coming out, this, that, and the next thing, and then obviously the big statement from Mr. Desmond when Brendan finally left. We're now got to a stage where it's complete silence. And this again is, they've made a decision, whether that's Michael Nicholson, whether that's Paul Tisdale, I do not know.
Yeah.
But again, it's head in the sand, and they're not talking about the manager's an egotist and he wants his own way and this, that, and the next thing. It's gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. But they at the end of the day are the ones that have to take responsibility. And so I think was it Chris Sutton in yesterday's press? You either back him, you come out with a statement and say you back him, or you sack him. You turn round and you say, there's just too many losses now, too many points dropped, and we don't see that there is any light at the end of the tunnel. It's got to be one way or another, but just remaining silent behind the windows, as you've just said.
Yeah,
that's just going to annoy everybody. Just kind of, we don't really know what we're doing here. Well, you should, because that's what you're paid to do.
Exactly, mate. And I seen that interview with Chris Sutton, and he hits a lot of good points. Obviously, Sutton, he kind of talks for the heart sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's still got that. He still bleeds green and white, and you've seen a wee bit of that hurt, we'll call it. And he's saying that Wilfred Nancy doesn't really get it. He doesn't understand, and he needs to get that mentality. He needs somebody to show him what that is, basically. Absolutely. And I feel like that was a failure on the board's part. Like you were saying, he come in and he was thrown straight into a game against the team,
the league leaders.
League leaders, and then a game against Roma in the Europa League, which again was a kind of game to nothing. And then he was thrown into a cup final straight away. 3 massive games, right? He loses every single one of them. If at that point in time he comes in and Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney are still there and they say, listen, mate, this is what we've been doing. This is where we are. I think we should do this. I think it's a different outcome, and I think you need to knead these things in nice and slowly. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Going back to Wilfred's point of, had he come in the summer, and he had that 4 or 5 weeks of being able to work with the players, to explain his ideas and all that, possibly a totally different outcome. He'd have had a chance to strengthen, bring in players that he thinks fits in with his formation and his ideals or whatever. I don't mind that at all. But as I say, he took the job knowing everything he knows now, other than the huge amount of pressure and expectation from the fans. We need to win. We don't care if in the first wee while it's not nice looking, because we didn't care when Martin was playing. Martin only had the same group of players, but was getting a tune out of them and was getting the results. So we were prepared to overlook it.
Martin O'Neill was in charge of 8 games, won 7 of them.
Yep.
Wilfred Nancy's been in charge of 8 games.
Yep.
He's won 2 of them.
Yep.
Martin O'Neill played Rangers. Wilfred Nancy played Rangers. 2 totally different results. I don't think Martin O'Neill had an easier run. I don't think that Nancy's had an easier run. I think they've pretty much been kind of even. So why can one manager get a tune out of these players and another manager can't? Is he overcoaching them? Is he doing too much in the training ground? Is he asking too much of these players? Or is it that the players are playing out of position?
I think it's probably a bit of all of the above, because, we've gone to a back 3. Now, I don't remember in how long that I've ever seen Celtic playing a back 3. He is, and again, I'll say it's due to injuries to what you would consider to be some of your starters, but he's come in and it's like he drops a wee lottery ball on and see where it lands, and that's where you're playing this week. So that is again part of it. It's really you can't defend a manager that does that. As you say, he's got to come in and look and say, right, this is what Martin did. Whether Martin's a better man manager and maybe simplified things for the players, right? Okay, you're playing in such a position. This is what your job is in that position. Whereas Wilfred and his fluidity wants, so guys get the ball, and you would normally think, right, I know who generally plays on a particular position. I know where I'm going to pass the ball. But because of that fluidity, they've made a run somewhere else. So you're now looking about going, well, where are you? You should be there, but you're now somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the overcomplication comes for it.
Yeah.
That again, back to the manager. If you can't, get the if you can't get the unit right, the cohesion with your players on the park, you'll never win a game. Even if you're, even in training games, I would love to go and watch and say, who's playing where, what kind of runs are they making, who are they passing to, you watch that. As you say, first half, you could see, yeah, brilliant. We're getting passes, we're getting in behind, we're creating this, that, and the next thing. But then in the second half, the opposition manager makes not a huge change, but it undoes us badly.
Yeah. One change, mate. That was all it took, was bringing on Diamande into that middle of the park in order to basically solidify what they had. McGregor has an early chance in the second half, and it goes just wide. A nice wee volley, it falls to him. Then it comes back to that back three. Ralston out of position. Austin Trusty, absolutely terrible. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was thinking. But Charmiti gets in, and he finishes well from a wee pass in from Nico Raskin. For me, mate, it could have been prevented if Trusty's willing to stick his leg in there, if he's willing to kind of do a little bit of defending. Let's face it, it's his job. So I just felt like at that point, that for me was the undoing. And you seen the heads, you seen them go down straight away. And there was nobody in there, no leaders. Callum might have tried, but you didn't see that rise. You didn't see that grit. You seen the heads go down, and I thought, here we go. This is where it all goes, and we just seem to capitulate from there. And I thought Austin Trusty got even worse. He should do better. Celtic played a little bit better going forward, but then again, Austin Trusty lets in Charmiti. He's running away from him. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Charmiti's running in towards him on the left-hand side.
This is the second goal,
Yeah, so for the second goal, Trusty's following the man in the middle. He's running away from him. He's running away from Charmiti. Now, I just don't understand that. I don't understand why. Yes, Tony Ralston's out of position, but why aren't you going to the ball? Put him out of the park. Do you know what I mean? That for me was just schoolboy stuff, schoolboy errors. And that's Austin Trusty. He's supposed to be our only centre half that was actually in his own position there. And they're failing.
Yeah. Much like the Motherwell game, he seems to, going back to the manager, he seems to play this, everybody attacks, and there's only one defender left in our half.
Aye.
That, explain that to me. How are you supposed to defend with one player? It was, whether other players were out of position, Tony Ralston gets wrong side, but Charmiti should never be running with the ball that distance to then get, straight down, one-on-one with Casper. As you say, if Trusty sees that's where the danger is, even if he gives a foul away there, I'll take a yellow card because it's still, well away from our box or whatever. But that's the decision he's got to make. And Trusty was badly wrong in his decision making there. That's not the manager's fault. That's Austin's fault.
But again, it kind of falls on the manager for playing that formation, Stephen. He's playing that 3-4-3, and like you said, Ralston's always up the park. He wants to press forward. He's a forward-thinking player, whether we like it or not. He's one of these guys who will always try to push up that right-hand side, as will Kieran Tierney. So unless somebody from the midfield like Callum McGregor, Hatate, Nigrin, Engels, whoever in that position is dropping back in to fill these holes, then we're left with one centre-half.
Yeah.
And it happened against Motherwell, it happened against Dundee United, and we're starting to see it over and over and over again. And it's just brutal, mate. It's one of these things, we've said it before, it's Albert Einstein's quote, to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It's the definition of insanity. Yeah. And we seem to be doing it. Is this man that we've got in charge just absolutely insane that he thinks if he keeps going, once it clicks, that's it. It's all good.
I'm going to go and switch my light on because I feel as if I'm in a wee black hole. This is what the depression of the day is coming on.
We are all in a black hole together.
It's one of these things, as you say. His formation, especially defensively, is never ever going to work. It showed you, from teams in the lower half of the league that can still punish us. Then that kind of shows you that it's not going to end well. He's until he gets down this conceding average. Whether that's going to be because he's been able to bring in defenders. The one thing I'm going to ask you here while I go and switch my light on is it okay? We talked about getting early transfer business done. The first guy in the door is a right back. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where our biggest issue has been, or could you have said we've got a more pressing need elsewhere in the park? Let's try and make our first signing a striker.
Aye, that's it, mate. Listen, you're absolutely spot on. I'll let you go and turn your light on. Bringing in a right back and then basically starting them on the bench, for me was, again, basically a kick in the teeth. Like you say there, Steve, there's plenty of positions that we could have brought in. A striker, can you imagine having an actual out-and-out striker in that first half? Yeah. We would have demolished them. We would have put them to the sword, and it would have been shooty. And that second half, we could have played with slippers on if we managed to put away all those chances in the first half. Then you click on to the second half, and I think I seen a stat basically that Rangers had basically 3 shots and 2 of them on target, 2 goals. And then obviously that was only like kind of halfway through the second half, and I'm thinking, this is just brutal. It's just turned so quickly.
Yep.
And on your point there are so many different positions we could have brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Another winger, somebody who's going to get the ball into the box, proper deliveries. But for me, the main problem today was a striker, and that was highlighted. Big time. A lot of people saying, would you take back Kyogo? Would you take back Big Giacomakis? Things like that. I think we're saying those names because we know they've done okay in the past. Giacomakis wasn't the best, let's face it. He was decent. He would probably do well in that squad. But I think we need to go big. We need to get in someone who is a proven scorer, somebody who's looking to make their place in the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a name off the top of my head. Let me know in the comments. Obviously, there's nearly 500 of you guys in. Let me know what kind of striker you would want in at Celtic Park. What about yourself? Have you got anybody off the top of your head that you think should come in?
No, I mean, I don't have a kind of an individual name, but I would be looking at who's qualified for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Who their strikers are, or who's on, not their main strikers, because they will all be playing. Yeah. But who in those squads is desperate for game time, desperate to get themselves, playing minutes, goals that will convince a manager, listen, I'm worth a punt. When it comes to the World Cup, that I think is why Maeda didn't. Well, we're not at the end of the window yet, but I think that's why Maeda came out with the statement initially to say, "Oh, I wanted away in the summer," but then come out and say, "No, I'm happy to stay here," because I think he knows if he transfers to somebody, and there will be clubs that will want Maeda, but he's going to go to a club where he's not a guaranteed starter. And as soon as he stops playing regularly, then he's going to fall down the pecking order in the Japan squad.
Yeah.
So
and he doesn't want that.
Absolutely, nobody wants that. You know, you're looking for some of these players to go and have a really impressive World Cup. Even as I say, the guys who are your main starters, you know, their place is never going to change. But you look at, I mean, I kind of one of the ones, not for striker, but I was looking and saying the summer there, Brighton paid, was it £20 million for Ben Gannon-Doak?
Yeah.
So plays right wing, and up till he got his injury in November, he had only played for them 4 times.
Yeah.
That is the sort of guy who you would turn around and say, if we can get him on a loan for the remainder of the season, he's a guy who's going to want to be playing, because every minute he gets and every contribution that he makes to either scores a goal himself or provides an assist, Steve Clarke is going to sit up and take notice of that and say, right, okay, Alan Robertson there, Evan Ferguson, the midfielder, I think, that played for us.
Evan, the one who signed for Roma from Brighton, the big guy that scored twice against us. Now, Evan was linked with us before, obviously because he's Irish, and we like to have an Irish contingent in there. So I think the case for Evan is quite good. Again, someone who's sitting on the bench at Roma, was only given a game against us because basically they highlighted our faults and thought that he would deserve a little run out. There's a lot of people as well in the chat saying Lawrence Shankland. Now, we know Lawrence Shankland's background, we know who he supports, who his family support, what he is. That's all fine and well, and I don't think that Lawrence Shankland would be a great fit for Celtic. However, he is a decent enough striker. If we're going down the Scotland route, do you look at guys like Lyndon Dykes, somebody who I think would be in the correct position, but again, lacks that intensity, lacks that drive that we're looking for. I think we need an all-round proper striker, like an old-school Lewandowski, that type of player. I don't know where you get that type of guy. Evan Ferguson would be okay in that role, but I think, again, it's just pushing down the Irish route.
Yeah, probably a midfielder. One of the ones that I saw on the BBC site as well was Josh Mulligan from Hibs.
Yeah.
You know, but a midfielder, we don't need midfielders at the minute. You know, we need strikers. We need a right winger, a productive right forward or right winger, depending if he's going to play this 4-3-3. So that's the two that I want to concentrate on, as well as a kind of commanding centre back. No, there was one in the centre back that I had a look at, and I thought this is possibly one where Wilfred will go back to the MLS, because he's he's obviously played, and he knows guys in that league. And the defender of the year there, I can't remember who he plays for, is a guy called Tyler Blackman. I think he's about 29 years old, but you know, good stats. He's obviously a decent age, and I thought, you know, that's the sort of commanding. He's quite tall. I think he's maybe about 6'2" or whatever. Wins a lot of aerial challenges and stuff, and he's good in the tackle. But our issue, definitely a striker. We need to get a striker in ASAP. And as I say, I think even, you know, January never been the best time to get really good guys in. The way we've described it, go for somebody that's potentially looking to go to the World Cup but isn't getting a lot of minutes at the moment, even if it's just a loan to the end of the season. Craig Bellamy, the Robbie Keanes, you know, you bring somebody in for half a season, go and make an impact, because they'll get plenty of service playing for Celtic, and you know, and that's it. You know, you go out, make your statement, get yourself to the World Cup, whether it's a foreign, maybe not. I don't know, Shea Adams and stuff like that. I'm not really too enamoured with any of the Scotland forwards.
If you can look at Scotland forwards, mate, I would say Kieran Bowie for Hibs. Now, Bowie, I think, is one of these guys who comes on and he does a wee bit. You look at the Derby game against Hearts there, Bowie was fantastic. A lot of people there saying Giakoumakis. He's been obviously linked, because obviously when players leave Celtic, they realise that Celtic are the biggest team that they'll ever play for. You see guys like Kyogo, he's went down south, it's not happening for him, he wants to come back. Jota tried it with Saudi, didn't happen, wanted to come back. Yeah. Giakoumakis, I think, is in that kind of same route. And again, listen, I think the big guy would do a good job, but is he the ideal fit for us? I'm not 100% sure. And I don't always like this going back. We've done it with Tierney, we've done it with Jota, we've done it with certain other players, and I just feel like that's not the way forward for us. I feel like we need to go above and beyond here and bring in somebody proven.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. As I say, I would probably be looking for a 6-month loan deal at the minute and target a quality striker for the summer, the summer transfer window. So, yeah, I think that would be, I don't know, Callum Osmond, I don't know how long he's got on his injury. He certainly February. Okay,
I think.
But yeah, again, I think he's going to be a good backup. I think probably if we get another striker in, Johnny Kenny is going to go to probably third pick for your striking lineup. So yes, if it was me, if I was in charge of transfer business, then I would be looking and saying, right, who's the loan signings here? Who is, a guy who we can get, wouldn't pay the money to get him on a permanent deal. We're not going to go out and pay, £20 million for a striker. It's absolutely, unthinkable. But
why should we be looking at loan strikers? Why should we be looking at loans? Because let's face it, we've got enough money in the bank. Why can't we go out there and just go, right, you know what? I've identified him as a striker. You speak about Wilfred Nancy, obviously being in the MLS. When he was at Columbus Crew, he had Wissam Al-Ali, the Palestinian striker, who was absolutely banging them in for him. He had, was it the boy Diego Lopez, Uruguayan, or he didn't know, Italian boy, again, banging in goals for
Rossi.
fun. Yeah, Diego Rossi, sorry. These guys, you look at these guys, why can't you go out there and actually bring him in? The boy Wissam Al-Ali's been linked to, is it Fenerbahce, I think? And they're talking about 7 million. Pay the 7 million for somebody like that. If he's proven and he's scoring goals, bring him in.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's going to be a £7 million deal, we've obviously paid. Look how much we paid for Adam Ida.
Yeah.
Another Dermot Desmond signing there because of the Irish link. If we could get one of these MLS or even both, say a combined deal of, 12-13 million pound, that's financially, that's a great deal for Celtic, because again, if these guys start scoring goals, then it increases their profile and it increases their sell-on value. But Jamie's just hit it right on the head. Do the board have the confidence to give them that amount of money? Again, this comes back to the back him or sack him comment. It's got to be one or the other.
Exactly, mate. And that's it. You look at this, and I personally don't think that giving this guy money is going to help us out. There's a lot of people in the chat saying buy guys like Cammy Devlin and whatever else, and basically pick away at your opponents to kind of weaken them and strengthen us. And if you think back to Dundee United, we've done that with them. We took guys like Zaluska, we took Gary Mackay-Steven, Nadir Sivci, all of these kind of guys at that point. Scott Allen, we picked players from certain squads in Scotland, and basically we took the best of the best and we played them at Celtic. And that's something that I don't think we've done over previous seasons. It might be an avenue now for us to look at, but it just shows because Mr. Tisdale is obviously in charge of the recruitment operations. Now, he was sitting there beside Sean Maloney today in the stands and basically looked just deflated as much as the rest of us. I don't know what he sees, what he's looking at, because I feel like we're not hearing enough from the board. We're not hearing enough coming out of Celtic. Like, we've identified these positions that we need to strengthen. We're coming on here, we're doing our bit. Let's hear a bit for Celtic. Let's hear them actually come out and go, do you know what, we've identified these positions, this is what we're going to look at. Everybody in the chat there as well saying guys like Kasper Schmeichels needs to go. He's run his last race. He's getting caught out with stupid things that he wouldn't get caught out with previously. Even with the corners, Rangers changed their corner taker at one point, and and they were swinging the ball in, and Kasper
Yeah.
Schmeichel's just stuck to his line. You
Yeah,
think
it
there was
doesn't come
Velcro
off
on
his
it. He was
line.
actually
Yeah.
stood there, just stuck to the line. And it doesn't fill you with that confidence like previous goalkeepers used to, like an Arthur Boric, a Fraser Forster. These kind of guys that commanded their box.
Yeah. I see Big Fraser went on a 6-month loan to Bournemouth, actually.
I've seen that, mate. It's spitting image of Charlie Mulgrew.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the one, yeah. Yeah, as you say, you don't want to take that step backwards, but like every player, whether it's James Forrest, whether it's Calmack, every player will know when they get to that stage where it's time to go. Joe Hart, was
Joe Hart
wonderful player, but he knew himself that the time is right for me. It's him that will make that decision, same way that Kasper will make that decision. So yeah, you look at whether if he has been carrying this shoulder injury or whatever, and we did give him props, the save he made in the first half. With the Gassama shot, he got his hand up and tipped it wide. He's still got that in him, that's just cool, but yes, it is. It's time to say, is Sinisalo worth a shot for more games between now and the end of the season?
Couldn't be any worse, could he? Let's be honest. Let's kind of break it down. It was a hard watch. I felt like it was always coming, even after the first half performance. I thought, we were outstanding, very, very good going forward. Lots of positives to take from it, and then it capitulated. And for Wilfred Nancy to come out and start giving these comments again, over and over again, he's saying the same things. Like, there was so many good points in that first half. We done this well, we done that well, blah blah blah. Birthday card pish. That's all it is. It's one of these parts where I don't care, mate. If you aren't getting the results at the end of the day, then you're not fit for purpose. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone by the end of tonight. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't, because this board will double down. They basically have shown their discontent, their lack of ambition, the lack of knowledge, the lack of pretty much everything, because they do not want to look like the ones who got it wrong. And I think they'll double down with Wilfred Nancy and they'll put all their cards on the table there. Jamie Brown saying bring back Big Ange, mate. I am not for that at all. Big Ange was good when Plan A worked, but Plan B was do Plan A better. So no, I will not have Ange back. I would rather have Ange than Wilfred Nancy. Don't get me wrong. However, he's not the man for me to come in. I don't know who I want as the manager. A lot of people saying the Motherwell manager, bring him in. He talks really well. He got the better of us. Yes, I understand that. He's doing well with a mediocre team. However, I think we are better than that. I think we deserve slightly better. Sean, put Sean in charge. Yes, Jerry, spot on. Get Sean Maloney in charge until the end of the season. How would your thoughts be on that, Stevie?
Yeah, I mean, literally, we can't do any worse. If it was you and I taking the team, I think we could get better results. It might not be pretty, but I think we could motivate that team, you and I, better than Wilfred could. And I'm not saying that for any spite or whatever, but that is literally how a lot of supporters feel now. I think there was one of the earlier comments. We're not football managers, but yet we can see the fundamental issues with this football club. So why can't the manager see what we're seeing, and why is he not reacting and changing things the way to grind out results? When they got them, when Rangers scored the first one and got their equaliser, you would have thought, right, we know, we've seen this programme before. This is where, as soon as we concede one, we're going to concede another. He didn't change anything other than, as I say, the substitution that I mentioned earlier. That's not going to win you games. That's not going to get you points. You don't get bonuses for these little moments that he talks about in his press conference and whatever. So, I personally would be back on the phone to Martin O'Neill saying, Martin, dig us out yet again.
Yeah.
Come in, cover us to the end of the season. And if there is, a candidate out there who is either unemployed at the moment or...
Nicky Hyan.
Well, again, he seems to be popular with a lot of people, and I can see why. The thing that I would say goes against him, the thing that he kind of had a big falling out with the board because the board failed to back him. And I don't think he's going to come here and get any different. So it's not that we don't want him for his tactical and managerial skills, but I think he would clash with the board here because he's not a puppet. And, that's going to be so.
Yeah.
I
want to touch on a wee thing here as well that Frank's put in. He says here about, I talk about a lack of ambition, yet I'd rather have Maloney than Ange. Ange was good, mate. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying Maloney because when Sean came in with Martin O'Neill was quite open in his press conferences, and Martin came out and he said, listen, I do my little bit. Martin wasn't at training every single day. Training with Sean Maloney and Fozzie. That's who was at your training. That's who was doing the everyday stuff with these players. That's who was doing the day-to-day stuff and getting these players. Martin O'Neill came in and bigged them up. He made the players feel 10 foot tall. He done what Martin O'Neill does. And like I've said on here previously, the guy behind me there, Didier Gat, Big John Hartson, all of these players, we've sat and spoke to them and we said, what is it about Martin O'Neill? What does Martin O'Neill bring as a manager? And it's not tactics. It's not all of this bravado. He basically brings the man management side of it. He makes you understand what you're good at, and he makes you realise your potential and tells you how to do that. And that's what I think we would get with somebody like Sean Maloney in charge. I think if we got Sean with somebody like Martin leading him, I think it would be absolutely unreal. I think we would kick on again. And I think that then progresses forward, and you potentially get someone later on like Roberto Martinez once he's done with the Portugal job. Because they've got that link with Sean Maloney. But listen, I think this is something that we are never, ever going to agree on. Everybody's going to have their manager in mind and who they think. But at the end of the day, all we want is the best thing for Celtic. And at this moment, I think the best thing for Celtic is for Wilfred Nancy to get out and for this board to get out.
My answer to Frank there, I don't think it's a lack of ambition. I don't think Ange Ball suits the personnel we have in the squad at the moment. When Ange Ball, he had Maeda running riot, he had Kyogo running riot.
Yes,
we don't have the same personnel, and that's where I think Ange Ball probably wouldn't be as successful. Just based around the current squad. But I mean, everybody now, board have done nothing but ruin the club. Absolutely. That's one of the things that, this is probably not going to be popular at all, but I need to give credit where credit is due. Bearing in mind that, as I say, I remember back to the day that Fergus McCann and Brian Dempsey were standing outside and said the Rebels have won.
The game is over. The Rebels have won. Yeah,
that's it. The first thing that Fergus put in place was we need to get the club on a firm financial footing so that we are never, ever again in a position where somebody is going to switch off the lights and lock that door and the club goes out of business. So with all the money in the bank, with the training facilities that we have now, with everything else, financially, if you're judging the board on that alone, you need to at least give them a tick in the box. That might not be popular, but you need to give them a tick in the box. From a footballing perspective, this is where they fall down because they don't have anybody. See the Paul Tisdale role.
Yes.
See if you gave that job to Martin O'Neill or Chris Sutton. Do you think, given their footballing background, they would be able to do a better job than Paul Tisdale?
I think me or you would be able to do a better job than Paul Tisdale, mate. I think that's a role that he's got again, because of friends of friends or whatever. When you look at his CV, when you look at his background, he's basically been in jobs for 3 months here, 4 months there.
I saw that the other night on social media.
Yeah, he's never really been in a role where he's actually held it and that he's proven. And I feel like that for me is just another kick in the teeth from this board. I feel like it's one of the ones where it shouldn't have been, the appointment shouldn't have been made. So, listen, that's it.
And again, it's an error that they're not going to own up to.
Yeah,
you know,
of course they're not. They're going to sit there.
Again, it's the same with Tisdale. It's a back 'em or sack 'em scenario.
Yeah, it's one of the ones. The board are going to sit there in a nice, comfy seats and basically ignore everything that we shout at them and ignore everything else, because at the end of the day, we're just the thugs that pay their wages, and that's basically the way they look at it. So, listen, guys, again, I know it's hard coming on after a game like this, but I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in. I want to encourage you all, please, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a penny, but I want to hit 5,000 followers by the end of this year. Steve-O's get slightly late. I can't remember what number Steve-O said, but I want 5,000. I want loads of them. So please hit the subscribe button, guys. Doesn't cost you a penny, but it boosts us. It helps us out. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all your support. And Steve-O, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
As always, guys, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Thank you very much, guys. Take it easy. What have I done?
What does this button do?
What does this button do? There you go. I'll try this one. No, didn't work. Let's try it again. No, still not working.
Switch it off and back on again.
I know I might need to.
Phone the IT consultant. He'll know if
Here we